Hello guys, welcome to some Total War Napoleon. Yes indeed, one of my favourite of all the Total War games is the Napoleon. Here we have, who was this? This is the Razee, the Leopard. She's a Razee class ship, which is basically taking an 80 gun ship of the line, cutting the top deck off, and yes, you have something that's slightly larger than a frigate, slightly less manoeuvrable than a frigate, but with a hull that can withstand the firepower from an enemy battleship. Excuse me what I'm squirming around with the controls. Have a good look at her. Sailors, marines on the deck there. There's the captain. There's the captain in the back. There he is. Not in combat. And we'll have a look at our foes. If you look down at the bottom left here, there's a little bar. You can see the red and blue bar. The blue is my chances of winning. The red is the enemy's chances of winning. So what are we up against? We're up against the Nuestra Senora de Pueblo, the 32 gun frigate, 38 gun frigate, the San Francisco Javier. We've got three merchants. Yeah, 3 merchant ships. All coming along, so it's an escort for a merchant convoy. Run across my Razee. They're opening fire first, and you can see the shots falling a little short. And my broadside goes screaming into my enemies, and does do some hits. Does hit. So I think it's taken off the top of his sail, has it? No. It just made just a hit. Didn't actually do anything deadly to him, but it. Certainly hit now. If I explain some of the markings here, you see the central badge there is the nation badge. The top white arc, that's their sails. The bottom green arc, that's their hull on each side. So you can see his left-hand hull has taken a bit of a pounding from my broadside. My broadside is quite a significant broadside. Between these two ships do outgun me, but my single broadside is much bigger than his. Oh, I'm got a good hit on his hull there. Got a good hit on his hull as his second frigate come into play. Not yet. That's just, whoops, wrong way. That's just smoke from his previous ship. He's a little 32 gun frigate there having a pop at me. I'm sailing sedately along. My advantage here lies in keeping the range, theirs lies in trying to close the range. Though, having said that, if I do close the range, I will obliterate them. Here comes my salvo coming in. And his hull is starting to show some signs of damage. But I think they think they're winning, they're encouraged. That their admiral is nearby. The little anchor symbol above indicates that they are an admiral. And the two little chevrons on the side indicate experience. So an experienced ship with their admiral on board. And he's still firing his guns at me. Oh, broadsides. See, I'm firing. Here we come, broadside coming in. Oh, that was some pretty hefty hits. She took quite a pounding on that one. Interesting that their second frigate not actually opened fire. I don't think their second frigate has actually opened fire on me yet. I don't think I'm quite in her arc at the moment, but I will be very soon, I would imagine. She's moving up. Oh, British ship here, hit to her masts. Looks like they're aiming for my masts, so I believe they're trying to take my sails out, which would be a fantastic tactic against my Royal Navy ship. Take the masts out and stop her dead. Oh, but if they don't sink before they do that, range is closing. They are sort of closing the gap between us. I believe their second frigate is now opening fire as well, which will be interesting. It'll also be interesting to see what their merchants do. Whether the merchants will just run for cover or actually try and join in the fight. The merchants do mount their own guns, 12 guns each on these. They're not India merchants. India merchants mount 58 guns. Three of them would actually pose quite a serious problem, even though the hulls aren't particularly strong. That's 158 cannon. Half on each side, obviously, but that's a lot of guns. That would be 29 guns on each side, which is quite a lot of guns. Oh, yes, nasty. She is seriously taking some damage to her hull now. How is she feeling? Concerned about her hull damage. Their second frigate is now opening fire, I believe. So we'll just see what they're doing. Yeah, their second frigate. Whoops, sorry, turned the wrong way. Their second frigate has begun to open fire as well. So we're now engaging two frigates. We're actually only shooting at one, but being engaged by two. But this frigate here is taking some serious damage from the hull, and now they're trying to turn. They're going to try and get ahead of me as much as possible. I'm slower than they are. They're much lighter ships, but my hull is a lot better, a lot more able to withstand the punishment. But even so, I've got two frigates up against me. The Royal Navy was renowned, though, for control of its seas, predominantly because the Royal Navy was one of the few navies, in fact, at the time, I believe the only navy that actually practiced with live ammunition. We would actually go out to sea and actually sit there and shoot ammunition and fire the guns. And the Royal Navy was estimated to be able to get off 3 shots in a minute, which, if you're loading like a 32, 24-pound cannonball, that is quite an impressive rate of fire. Practically the rest of continental Europe would be lucky to get off 2 shots a minute. Now see, the Pueblo is taking some serious damage. Her hull's badly damaged. She's taking casualties as well. She's down to 28 of 35 men. So I think she had some battle damage. Must have had some battle damage before she came into this fight. But she's lost most of her guns as well. She's down to 8 guns. Her hull's badly damaged, but she's still trying to close the gap. Got the merchants coming up slowly because they are much slower than the military ships. Crews are not quite so well trained, but they're not what are called pressed, so they weren't press ganged into joining the navy. They are all on there because they're being paid well. An interesting one. I'm talking of press ganging. If you don't know what press ganging is, it's a letter from the king that says to the navy, you are at liberty to kidnap drunk people off the streets, knock them out, drag them aboard your ship, and when they wake up, you'll make sure you're definitely out to sea, and then there'll be sailors for the next 5 to 10 years, or whenever you put into port again. And some of these ships could actually stay at sea. Some of these sailors would not actually set foot on land for 10 years. Just because the government knew that if they put foot on land, they would run and try and get away. Whoa, looks like the Royal Navy there is taking a bit of a pounding. She's losing slightly, but she's encouraged. Whereas the Pueblo is taking some serious damage to her hull. Some serious hull damage there. The Royal Navy also had a rule that they could actually stop any merchant ship they passed and replenish crew members. If they were short of crew, they could replenish their crew from a merchant ship, friendly or otherwise. Yeah, she's firing. Where is she firing? She's still going after the Pueblo, who is just taking such a pounding. She is in such a bad state. I mean, look at the state of those sails. And what's the San Francisco doing? Getting very confused with the sails, I think. Getting very confused there what she's doing with the sails. Reefing her sails, then lowering them. It's very confusing what she's doing. That's it, Spaniard. You carry on yabbering away. Meanwhile, we'll just let our cannon do our talking for us. Now, both of these frigates are going to be mounting 9 and 12 pounders of their main guns. We're mounting 24 and 32 pound cannon. So our firepower is a lot heavier as well. And range is closing. Are we actually engaging the second? Oh, looks like we are trying to engage the San Francisco. We're actually pretty much given up on the Pueblo. They're not really much of a threat to us. Trying to get the San Francisco engaged now. 38 guns. She's at full strength. That Pueblo... Oh, the Pueblo has struck her colours. She has surrendered, sir. Surrendered, sir. Oh, she's sinking. She's going down at the bows. Her hull has given out. Now it's time for us to engage their second ship. Always like to watch these. There's always a fabulous watch these ships sink. So they're actually going down at the bows, very definitely. Crew have started to jump overboard. Meanwhile, San Francisco giving her a wide berth. They're trying to use her as cover against the Royal Navy's massive firepower. And the merchant's still coming along behind. There we go. The Pueblo went down surprisingly fast. That last hit must have just knocked a massive hole in her, and she's just going down like a stone. See all the little sailors though. There's no option to go and pick them up, which is a bit of a shame because prisoners would be handy, but we can't pick them up. Anyway, there she goes, slipping beneath the waves. Now we're engaging Royal Navy, a frigate against a Spanish frigate, and I'm hoping that the Royal Navy can actually manage to withstand this. I mean, as I said, the Royal Navy, this Razee class ship, very few of them were ever built. I mean, who's going to take an 74 or 80 gun ship of the line and cut the top off of it and make a super frigate? Why am I going to sacrifice a battleship to make a very powerful frigate class ship? Not something that most admirals are going to sit there and go, that sounds like a good idea. Indeed not. But she has. I mean, look at her hull, barely damaged there. Let's get back up. Let's have a good look. Well, we got the merchants are joining in the fight now as well. Though this looks like this merchant's already taken one broadside. She's quite badly damaged on one side. Spanish frigate is still putting up a fight though. And she's trying to close the range. Expecting a few guns have been lost. She lost four of her guns. And she's firing fairly rapidly. She's not giving a decent full-side broadside. But she is look like she's trying to cross the T of the Royal Navy ship, which would be particularly bad. Crossing the T is literally you sail right in front of a ship, so that your ship makes the top bar of a T. And what that means, particularly if you can do it from behind, if you do it from the front or back, it means your cannonballs are hitting the front or the back of the ship and travelling down the length of the ship. This is particularly devastating because if you hit a cannon, that cannon will then be knocked over and can potentially kill or injure several people, including the gun crew next to it. And your cannonball will continue to bounce down basically a square box. And that is particularly devastating. Now, I can't remember what my plan here was. Oh, it looks like I'm engaging the merchants. I'm hammering into a merchant down here. I don't know why I'm hammering into the merchant, as I've still got a frigate to deal with. Or I'm actually trying to sail between them and cross the T's. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure what's happening. But it's we're moving up. We're definitely closing the range. We are actually coming in behind the San Francisco's fire arc. If you think that San Francisco pretty much is the fire arc almost straight out. As she moves forward, if we carry on, if we turn in a bit more, we will actually begin to come inside the fire arc. But actually looks like we're levelling off against the line. Looks like a manoeuvre was actually pulled to try and get us closer, where we can actually use our devastating firepower, and we have a massive firepower. We've probably got more guns on one side than these three merchant ships combined. Certainly not as much as, certainly more than the frigate on its own, and certainly, definitely I think more than the three merchants. And we're hurting the merchants. The merchants are actually hurting quite badly. This one here is starting to, yep, her left-hand side has been taking serious damage. And we're giving her a very bad day. What's she looking like? Down to 4 guns. And there we go. Now have a look at what the wind direction is. What's the wind direction look like? You can hear the little crack there. That's actually musketeers firing. That's the Marines. The Royal Marines engaging. Platoon Royal Marines here on the foredeck. It looks like a Marine officer. And the Marine there, engaging. Just took a little bit of a hit then, not to worry. Oh, the Marine fired. So yeah, we are engaging. Good lord, look at the holes we punched in the side of this ship here. Should have taken some serious damage. Merchantmen not designed to take cannon fire. And you can see she is taking some serious damage. If she's not careful, she will probably surrender or sink very soon. Where's the Royal Navy? Let's have a look at the side of the Royal Navy ship. And we've taken some damage. We have taken some quite bad damage, actually. How's the hull rating looking? But our hull is still holding up. Hull rating is... Our hull is still holding up. The pumps are obviously keeping pace with the incoming water. I'm still not engaging the frigate. I'm still just engaging that merchantman. I'm not entirely sure why. We're definitely engaging the merchant. And looks like we are going to sink her pretty soon as well. She's going to either strike the colours and the little flag has turned red. She's panicking. Yeah, they're concerned. They're close to panicking. As soon as their little flag starts to flash, it means they're panicked. And are close to surrendering. But they are not in a good situation. They've lost their admiral, of course, because their admiral's in their lead frigate. It looks like the Spaniards are again trying to close the range. And of course, we're sailing, if you look at the arrow at the top, we're almost sailing into the wind, which makes forward movement very difficult. And the Spaniards there crossing our T. This is not a good situation. Not a good situation at all. Unless we intend to pass between them. And there we go, the Spanish merchantman there is starting to panic. They will surrender soon. Oh no, the Spaniard is crossing our T. This is not good. This cannot end in a good way. Broadside from the Spaniard could do us some serious damage. But on the positive side, it is taking her down. She will then be engaged on our undamaged side. Whereas we'll still be engaging her damaged side. Not that it's very damaged. Oh, and they didn't fire. Well, now they fire. Oh no, they're reloading. We're so slovenly that they actually missed the opportunity. And now we've got a full broadside to fire at them, and we'll be hopefully firing into their side, damaged side and rear soon. As that merchantman surrendered, no, he hasn't. He's still going, and looks like he could be on a collision course. He could be trying to ram me and do some damage that way, and just try and cripple my ship by ramming. That would be particularly disastrous for me. Alright, the other merchants have all changed formation as well. They're actually all just line abreast now, coming in. Royal Navy there turning, trying to engage the frigate. She's presenting now. The Royal Navy are now presenting the undamaged flank, the undamaged side. So we are probably going to be okay for quite a while. Merchantmen are panicking again. She's down to 2 guns left. I mean, she has taken some serious pounding. The frigate getting hammered some more. She's taking not as much damage as the original. And if you look, our damage side on the Razee has actually got into the orange. So we were actually taking. It's a good thing that the Spanish actually switched sides, tried to cross our T and switch sides. In fact, actually, in so many ways, that worked perfectly for us because the Spanish didn't manage to get that broadside off in time to massively damage us as they crossed our T, and they're now engaging our undamaged side. So we got a full set of guns and a full set of wooden planks and armour. Most ships, in fact, almost all ships at the period, didn't carry enough seamen and gunners to actually man both sides of the sets of guns at the side, both sides of the ship at the same time. This is predominantly because it was never really expected that you would actually engage on both sides at the same time. If you were going to go into a situation where you knew you were going to fire both sides, it would be quite common to load both sides with guns, and then the gun crew could switch from one side to the other as they were needed. But usually if you were engaged on the left you would fire with your left gun. If a target appeared on the right, then you would fire from the right, but you generally wouldn't then bother reloading the right. You go back to firing on the left against your main target. There's that. Merchantman still isn't surrendering. Routing, she's trying to leave, but she gets getting up. We've crossed her T. She's just getting a huge broadside. She must sink soon. And we even managed to get it in on a damage side. She is bound to sink soon, if not panicking. Not surrendering. She's trying to rout. She's trying to leave, I believe. And it does look like the Spanish merchants are scattering. But they're heading in three completely different directions. Royal Navy there going after the merchant. If you like, we allowed the enemy ship to cross our T from the rear. Not really. She's only got 2 guns. She's not going to do an awful lot of damage. If you like Napoleonic naval action, go and check out a game called Naval Action. It's not out yet, but there are plenty of very, very good videos out there about it. And if you can get into an early release copy, then lucky you. But it does look like a very, very interesting game where you can actually control a ship, and it's just like a big fight with a couple of dozen people on each side and just lots of ships. I mean, it's just so exciting looking. I'm certainly looking forward to things like frigate fights, because I think they would be absolutely awesome. And we're crossing the T, and we've got a one salvo broadside off as we began to cross the T. Whether we can get a second off before we finish. And we've got this. You can see that the Marines up on the I don't know what they call those. Not crow's nest. It's the firing platform. I don't know what they're called. If anybody of you naval types do know what they're called, I know a lot of terms, but oh, and the forecastle's gone. Oh, a forecastle has got. Sorry, is that forecastle? Foremast. Sorry, foremast. Forecastle's the sticky out bit, isn't it? That sticky out bit's the foremast has gone. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. That'll slow her down a little bit. She's panicking a bit. She's been demasted. This is not good. She's routing. She's surrendered. She struck her colours. She surrendered, sir. Surrendered. She struck her colours. She hasn't actually surrendered. She's actually just routing. She's trying to get away. But she is now effectively out of the battle. There was nothing to stop someone striking their colours as that ship there did, and waiting for us to come alongside and then opening fire again. But it was considered to be incredibly bad form, and generally ended up in your entire crew being slaughtered if you did so by the vengeful people who've just been hoodwinked by your trick. But yes, it's some strange rules of the sea like that. So it is now damaged Razee. What have we got? Down to 33. So we lost 15 guns. But we're up against the merchants. So how badly damaged is that one? That's down to 4 guns. Are we still firing? We are still firing on that frigate. Good lord. I'm going to speed things up just a little bit. Just because we can see how the rest of the battle goes. But I want to see whether we actually managed to finish that frigate off. I'm going to cross the T. Yeah, we're engaging at that. We're going to cross the T of this merchant here. The merchant that was panicking has managed to sort of survive for a little bit, split herself off. But the frigate is getting away. And now we're engaging this, and we crossed her T. And in one salvo, we've taken a fair chunk off of her health-wise. But no, there we go, there we go. And now we're engaging that damaged ship, on which side we're engaging on her good side, or undamaged. I believe it's a fairly undamaged side anyway, or at least it was, until that last salvo went in. Yeah, last salvo went in. They did a fair bit of damage. I think they do overstate the holes sometimes in this game. They're not as bad as they look. But our merchants there, milling around, trying to work out what to do. Where the frigate there is just escaping off into the wild blue yonder. She is definitely going to get away. Looks like we're going to get a broadside into the rear of the panicked merchant. And she's struck her colours also. This is good. That means that's 3 ships down, 2 to go. Just 2 merchants. And I guess you guys pretty much know where this is going to go now. It's going to be 2 more merchants being sent to the bottom fairly shortly. But it is, it's having been initially outnumbered in not just guns but ships, and it doesn't just matter that I've got a bigger ship. If they can get a ship either side of me, that does cut down my firepower, because I can't fire both sets of guns at the same time, so it does make life just that little bit more difficult. But it is good to see that we actually managed to survive this long. And of course, the other thing as well is if they can have a ship on our left side, for example, and one following along behind, and every so often the one that follows behind loads up her guns, gives a hard turn either left or right, and then can give a full broadside into my rear and then sail right up behind because they're a little bit faster than me. It's like a bull with a couple of terriers. The bull easily capable of killing one terrier, very easily capable of killing a terrier on its own, but you put 2 or 3 in there and all of a sudden that bull starts to have a serious problem. Because as soon as it turns to attack one, the other ones leap into attack, and so you can imagine just how badly I would fare if there'd been another frigate. If one of these merchants had been, instead of 3 merchants, if there'd been a 3rd frigate, I probably would have had a lot harder time here. But as it was, a Spanish merchant fleet ran into my Razee, sorry, and it does look like we are going to be able to finish off these merchants. But I strongly suggest you go and check out the naval action game. I'm trying to get in on the beta for that. I've been waiting and waiting. It does look such a good game. Come on, Royal Navy, do your thing. Now you can see here I'm trying to keep my range. I have bigger guns and a better range, so range works more for me. I do less damage at range because my shots are still less accurate and obviously at range less powerful, but compared to what the enemy are doing, they're still significantly more powerful, and it just takes long. And look, this ship's taking a lot of damage. She's going to have to surrender soon. Being followed by that very experienced. Who's that? That is the Estrella del Mar. Estrella, Saint of the Sea? Mistress of the Sea? I can't remember. Estrella... I can't remember my Spanish. I didn't do it. The Diligent. If anybody speaks Spanish, Estrella de Mas, Princess of the Sea, Mistress of the Sea. I can't remember. But anyways, it goes. Looks like we are now engaging her. It looks like we're going to try and sail between the 2 ships, briefly crossing the T on both ships. It means we'll get a broadside out of each side and may do some serious damage to the Diligent, and the Australia may take a very hefty pounding, but it looks like we have just fired our shots. Doesn't look like we'll get another shot as we cross the T. Damn these camera controls, they're just so... Alright, it's my fingers. I must admit, it's me. I'm a complete nutcake with these camera controls at times. Unfortunately, the chaps I used to play multiplayer on, we used to have LAN parties regularly. Unfortunately, they're in the UK, and I'm in France, and it's just so hard to find chaps here that can A, speak English, and B, want to play this game. It is just such a brilliant game. It is such a brilliant game. I just love the Napoleonic period. The period as a whole is fabulously interesting. Last year, myself and a couple of friends, we had last year's holiday. We drove. For any of you who know anything about Napoleonic Wars in Spain, we drove from a place called Almeida in Portugal through Salamanca, Valois, Burgos, all the way up to Bayonne, and then on to Toulon. Firstly following the route of Wellington and his final assault in 1814, or 1813, 1814 on the French, driving them out of Spain, driving them back into France. And we drove that. We sort of stopped and took pictures and looked at where the troops would have walked and marched. It was absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. That was, of course, for the 200th year anniversary we did. But I don't know if there was actually anything official actually ever done for that, but it was something that we did. So Christopher, Simon, Dave, other Dave. Thank you very much, guys, for a fabulous time last year. This year I went to South Africa, which is an interesting country. South Africa is... My first initial impressions of it, it was horrible. I hated it. But it's not as bad as all that. It's not... The trouble is, it's a country that's full of contradictions and massive differences. The rich are very rich, the poor are very poor, and they're most of the poor tend to be black. The trouble is, and forgive me for drifting into politics here, but I'm glad apartheid is gone, and we were ushered into a new era where the black people would run the country because the white people were ripping off the black people. And as far as I can see, nothing's changed. It's just black people ripping off black people more now. So that's a real shame. What happened to that other merchant? Well, that merchant there, he's struck his colours. He is still trying to get away. That frigate is going to get away. I've got them up against the edge of the map here. It's going to make life a little bit more difficult for me. Actually going to make life incredibly difficult for them. I've got them pinned up against the edge of the map. If you look at the little bar down in the bottom left hand corner, look how the blue and red has now changed. Massively in my favour. We are going to be victorious. We can't lose, really. I mean, it is just now really a matter of time. And we've got that merchant there. Is panicked. What's she panicked about? Apparently they believe they're winning. Well, they're concerned because their admiral is dead. And she is very experienced. She got three or four chevrons on there? 4, I think. 4 chevrons, so she is very experienced. And we close the range right up. My god, if I get a broadside off, we're going to rip her to pieces. There's no crew on deck. Looks like all of her crew have disappeared below. Oh no, her captain is on the deck at the back. Oh good lord, this is not going to be good if we are we going to board her? I think we're actually going for a boarding action. A little bit of room. Or are we? Are we? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure whether we're having a boarding action or we're just having a very close range spitting match at each other. Oh, good lord. We're being sandwiched by the other... Good lord, the other frigate that we'd sort of forgotten about. Oh, they've got troops up in the... Mr. Confused Trousers. That wasn't me shooting forward. The mast wobbled and came towards me. They've got troops up in the... standing on the deck, on the planks up the... What are those called? I don't know what they're called. They've probably got a proper naval term for them. And naval types get all uppity if you don't think all things the right thing. We have taken a fair bit of pounding on this. No, we have taken a fair bit of pounding on the old Razee, the Leopard. But we are doing some damage. We are slowly getting our enemies down. I'm surprised this one hasn't surrendered. It's got 3 chevrons. They're 2 very experienced crews. Crew there. Now, if you look on the map, mini-map, the frigate has escaped. Their the other merchantman isn't really going anywhere. And it looks like the Razee is just horribly confused. Holes in the sails. Looks like she's coming about, trying to come up behind them. And if she can come up behind the enemy ships... Oh, look at that beautiful, nice little broadside there into that ship. Which one is that? That's the Diligent. Taking a nice broadside there, but on her... if I look at it... Yeah, that's her undamaged side, so that's fine. That's her undamaged side. She's not going to worry about that too much. There's the Royal Navy. Where's... Yeah, see, we're presenting our damaged side to our enemies. That red line, by the way, that's the edge of the known world. Fire again, gentlemen. Fire again. It's a foregone conclusion. I mean, that my firepower massively outweighs theirs. I'm between them and escape at the moment. I mean, they're just doing so much damage to them. What I really should do is close the range and actually switch to chain shot and start taking out their sails and their masts. Chain shot is literally either 2 balls linked by a length of chain, or you actually had like a cannonball that was almost hollow, and the chain hid inside the cannonball, and it was sort of closed together and put into the cannon and fired out. But that was only generally used on much larger ships. On standard size ships, you would double load double load the chain shot in and fire it out, and it would be absolutely devastating. You also got the option also of canister. Used to be a game called Age of Sail, again another one which I really liked, and it was a very interesting, but not quite in this detail. Not quite in this detail. Looks like both sides breaking off. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to speed this up until we can get some action. So I do apologise for the weird-looking graphics. They're still taking pot shots at me. And I'm still taking pot shots at them. How are they doing? They do seem to be fairly happy still. They're not panicking yet. They're taking hits. They're firing back. I mean, she's only got 2 guns left. Oh, and the mizzenmaster's gone. Nice shooting there, Tex. Nice shooting there. So the mizzenmast at the back, mainmast in the middle.
Victory, sir, is soon to be yours.
Oh, mizzenmast on both of them. Mizzenmast at the back, foremast in the centre, and mizzen at the back, mainmast in the centre, foremast at the front, and the sticky out is the... Oh, good lord, I said it earlier. I've forgotten the name of it. Absolutely, just completely escaped me. Nope, it's actually escaped me. And she struck her colours as well. Excellent. Looks like another, we're going to capture that merchant, but this merchant, badly damaged, with 2 guns left, is continuing to put up a fight. Is she insane? Must be absolutely insane. Spending an awful lot of my time recently playing World of Warcraft on a private server, and having an awful lot of fun playing my little hordes. It's so nice to play that game, and it's Wrath of the Lich King server, which I think, as I said before so many times, is one of the best. Last expansion I've been playing an awful lot of that, and Napoleon Total War as well. So I think I've got a couple more games, Total War games. But yep, she struck her colours as well. That's the end of the game for us. We sank 2 ships. No, 2 of them sank. Oh well, well done us. Deployed 5. Yeah, lost 2 obviously. So thank you very much, guys. I've been Havoc. I am Admiral Panda. Catch you guys on the flip side.